Hi all, this is just a quick video that was requested by Mr. Bill Babbler, who is the moderator of the Table Rock forum over on Phil Lilly's very fine OzarkAnglers.com website, an excellent source of fishing information for the Ozark Lakes. Basically, the question that's coming up for a lot of folks is how do I find the right Ned head, or Ned Rig head, or Little Varmint head, or Midwest Finesse head, Little Rig head, whatever name you know the technique by. What is the right head? What does one head do versus another? And we're just going to kind of try to clear some of that up. The original heads, as Ned originally kind of came up with it and some others, are these Gopher mushroom heads made by Gopher Manufacturing up in Minnesota. And it's a fine head. This little one up here on the top is the 1/32 ounce. These are 1/16 ounce heads right here. The Gopher is a little bit more of a balanced head. It has a collar that runs down the shank of the hook with a double barb that does a great job of holding some plastics. The Elastec plastics tend not to like barbs or pokey things generally being stuck in them. They will tend to spit them right back out at you. That's why so many folks are super gluing baits up on heads. They don't do well with screw locks. They don't do well with normal barbs, basically normal barb collars. What that Gopher head does, if you look at it, it's kind of flat in the front. A lot of folks like that because it tends to come through weeds better. If you're fishing milfoil, hydrilla, coontail, cabbage, especially up north, a lot of folks like that because they can fish the jig worm technique with it and rip it through there. It swims very well in shallow water because it balances back towards the back of the bait a little bit, so you get a little bit more horizontal presentation. As you're swimming, the bait tends not to plummet towards the bottom quite so much. And it's a fine head. The Gopher folks will work with you. They'll try to make any color they can. A lot of variety of hook combinations. The only real issues with the Gopher are that it's pretty hard to find outside of Minnesota, Wisconsin, some parts of Illinois, places where people fish that jig worm technique. So for folks in the Ozarks, it's been a real bear to find that head. The head down here in the bottom is very similar to Gopher. It's a head from Outcast Tackle. Brent Ayler, I think, was the one who came up with that, if I remember correctly. And it's very similar. It's got an even little bit more of a flat head to it. So it's designed to stand up. I don't know how much it actually does stand up on the bottom, but that's certainly the intent of it. The barbs on the collar run a different direction on that head as compared to the Gopher. But otherwise, it's pretty similar, and that's a 16th ounce also in that size. That Outcast Money Jig is actually the head that I started with when I fished the technique the first time. And it works fine. I used it because I couldn't find any Gophers. And Tackle Warehouse had some of the money jigs, and I decided I would try them, and it worked pretty well. What you find out with those heads is that besides being a little tricky to find, the collar can be a problem, trying to get the elastic pushed up on them. And the one big thing that sticks out at you is it's not weedless. If you're swimming it, it's fine. If you're fishing a bare gravel pocket, if you're fishing out on a gravel flat, a lot of little Kansas City area lakes we fish up here in the summer, county conservation lakes, state lakes, have a lot of grass, have a lot of riprap. You probably aren't fishing deeper than 4 or 5 feet, and you're swimming the bait a lot. And it works pretty well for that in those situations because you're just not getting in a lot of cover and not fishing on the bottom a lot. At Table Rock, Bull Shoals, Beaver, Norfolk, places like that, Table Rock in particular, that's the one I fish, it became quickly apparent that having a weed guard of some sort was going to be a plus. About the time you start to put that little head down a cedar tree, boat dock with a brush pile, state brush pile, cables, all sorts of things, you need something in front of that head. So that's the answer I came up with, which is a similar size hook. That's a number 2. I think these are number 1s actually in the Gamakatsu, but Gamies run a little bit small. The head is a head we call button head because it doesn't have a collar that runs back the shank. All the lead is pushed to the front of the head, which makes the head balance quite a bit differently than the Gopher or the Outcast heads. What what it'll do is it'll fall a little bit more head first. It still swims all right in the 16th ounce size. It doesn't give you quite the level presentation that you would get with a Gopher, but for fishing on the bottom, it seems to work a little bit better. It's a little bit wider across the front. That seems to help with the rock. Some of you may have seen a swimming pool video we did where it shows the head kind of rocking back and forth on a slack line. That seems to be enhanced by the round curve on the front of those little heads. Z-Man has a new head out called the Finesse Shroom Z. They've been making a Shroom Z with a bigger hook for a couple of years. This one's new this year. It's the one head I don't have in here just because it's very similar to the head I make, so I haven't fished it. But I think it probably does some of the same things with that same design, same width, and same balance. Not having the collar means that when you thread the elastic on, you don't have to push it over anything. You run it on. Even a ball head without a collar would be simpler to get the thing on. And then you just put a drop of super glue up on the back side of the head. Usually I put one above the shank, one below, maybe one drop down the shank, and the Loctite super glue gel. And slide it up, and it stays right up just fine. It's not like a regular plastic that's going to fall down on you all the time. Once you super glue it up, it really does like to stay. The weed guard's just enough to keep you out of nasty places, and that's kind of what gives you the confidence to fish places where fish live, which is kind of a big deal. These are the 16th ounce size. That's what I consider basic. These are the 8th ounce size down here. The 8th ounce size I actually made on a whim for my kids a couple of years ago, just because I thought maybe they could feel it a little bit better, cast a little bit better. They were still learning how to fish a little bit, and I'm starting, for whatever reason, I'm starting to think there's something about the 8th ounce head that's different. And I don't know if it's the weight, if it's the balance, if it is the way it fishes on the bottom. I really can't pinpoint what it is. But in the last year and a half, it has really taken off as the popular size. It may just be more accessible to people. People may be more accepting of it because it is closer to what they're used to fishing. I don't know, but it really has caught on and seems to catch a lot of fish. This one up here is a bigger head. That's a 3/16. I've not fished that a lot. I know some people who do, deep water situations and other situations. I fished the 1/8 all the way out to 40 feet. When you start getting out to 40 feet on anything small, I start to think about fishing a different way than this, even though I love to do it. So the 8th works fine for me. These are just a couple little ball heads. Ball head there, 32nd ounce is what I use when I swim it, because you get the same collar advantage. It's a little Gamma Cats, just a little cheapo head that I pour, and then a little football head. I can't see the football style is necessarily any better for it. It's the head everybody loves to fish around here, but it doesn't necessarily do anything the other heads don't do. And that really pretty well covers it. You can get into hooks and which hooks work and which hooks don't work, and as long as you've got a good sharp hook and it won't straighten out. Now there's a couple hook brands that Owner is probably the sharpest hook I've seen, but it tends to straighten out on fish, big fish especially. The sickle hooks, there's something about the angle of the point on sickle hooks that sometimes sticks them great and sometimes doesn't. Gamma Katsu's, this is a 114. The Owners have a 11, or the Gophers have a 114 in them. That's a lighter wire hook, which sets very well, but also is a little more prone to straightening out on you. The Outcast and the heads that I make when I put a Gamma Katsu in them use a 604, and that's a heavier wire hook, and it doesn't straighten out. It'll handle the occasional catfish, drum, carp. I mean, you'll catch a lot of different fish on this bait, and it'll handle that fish once in a while that will surprise you, and does fine with the bass. Other thing that came up, we had a gentleman ask a question about why his bait sunk, because they're known for being high flotation, and he put one in a I don't know if it was in the sink or in the lake actually, and it just kind of sank and fell over. The Elastec baits have varying salt contents, and the Zinker Z and the Zero have the highest salt contents of any of them. The Strike King Zero and the Z-Man Zinker Z. What you have to do to make sure they're going to float on you really is just rough them up. And I mean, we work them over before we fish them to loosen up all that salt. And I just take them like that. I've surprised a lot of people by flinging salt at them like that. But you just take it and stretch it and really work the bait over. You can even run them under some water if you want to. And you can see the salt start to come out of it. And what will happen is that salt comes out, the water will get in there and wash even more salt out, and that'll make the bait lighter, and that makes it stand up. It also makes it a lot softer. You can see it's already softer. If you fish with that bait for about an hour, you'll be able to squeeze water right out of it. And that's really it on the heads. It's just a hard thing to try to find the right head in the right size, especially with the right hook. So many companies just automatically put a big hook in everything that says bass on it. But it's hard to find a little hook that does what it's supposed to. A couple companies in particular that folks have tried it. If you get to anything over a number 1 hook, you're going to kill the bait, because it's a length question. Now all of a sudden, instead of being right here with all that little piece of worm free, now like a 2/0 hook, you're clear back here, and you'll catch some fish. You can take it out and throw it and catch some fish just fine, but you won't catch the numbers of fish you're going to catch if you've got kind of the right tool that you're using for the job. So hope that helps clear some things up for people. If not, feel free to find one of us who does it a lot and ask us a question. We'll be glad to answer it. Take care.